For more election coverage of California's key races and initiatives without the partisan spin, visit us at ivn.us, California.
Welcome to the IVN podcast. I'm Jeff Powers. We're joined today by Diane Harkey. She is the Republican candidate running for the 49th district. Ms. Harkey currently sits on the State Board of Equalization, which administers and oversees state tax assessment. Her term ends in January 2019. Before serving on that board, Harkey represented Assembly District 73 from 2008 to 2014, and she joins us now. Hi, Diane. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for taking a few minutes. This race is very close. Polling suggests you're leading by a couple points. Others have your competition, Mike Levin, in the lead. What is it about you that separates and for voters that you should be the choice for this district?
Well, I've lived in the district, nearly all of my life. I know it very, very well. I've actually served the district while in the state assembly. The 73rd Assembly District used to encompass North San Diego and South Orange County until recently when it got redistricted. So I've served that district. I've also, served the entire district on the Board of Equalization, working on taxpayer issues, helping them get some relief and legislating or hearing appeals, adjudicating appeals, and we've done a really great job. I've worked across the aisle. I'm the only one with a voting record. I've worked across the aisle on numerous issues in the legislature, on water quality issues and on transportation issues, as well as budget issues, funding for public safety. Those are issues that you can work on because they're local issues. And on the board, we had so many 5-0 votes, and that was a very split board. It was 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and I was the first Republican chair in 15 years, which is really huge. So I have a history of working in this very Democrat state with a lot of solid Democrats that we've been able to do things for our district. I've got a voting record. I've made some tough calls. I've served the area, and I've had a 30-year career in banking and finance prior to running for public office, and I've got a daughter that's raised, and I'm ready to go.
You said you've made some tough calls. I'm wondering if you could explain or give me an example of one of those tough calls where you were. It was a challenge for you to come up with the decision you made, and then the resulting outcome that you were proud of.
Well, one of the real tough calls, Orange County is really strict and stern about pensions. They're not a big pension county. They kind of are very critical of government pensions. And we got involved in an area where it involved our police and our sheriffs. And I am very, very supportive of police and sheriffs. I think they're kind of like our ground armed forces here, and they're under constant attack, and it's very difficult to attract them. It's a tough job, and we need them. I'm really proud. And so I actually went up against my party and supported some reforms that helped them, and actually got that done. That was huge. That was huge. I got a lot of criticism for it, but I was also able to bring over a lot of Republicans to see the public safety increment is so much different than the desk server. We love our staff and everything, but they're not in harm's way as public safety is, as our law enforcement. So yeah, I've been able to do that, and that was a big hill to climb. I also opposed on several issues. I stood against, on quite honestly, one of the takings from the state at the time was to do away with a lot of redevelopment projects, and there was some abuse in there. Nobody doubts that. It had a property rights component, but there were areas in my cities that it was being used properly, what it was supposed to be used for. It was not a matter of just eminent domaining. I did stand with my cities and try to avert what eventually turned out to be just a lot of properties that we're still trying to get rid of. I've taken a stand against high-speed rail from the very start, 2008. I was elected, and I took a very firm stand because on a financial basis, I did a lot of financial work in my career, and so I looked at the state's budget. We had crashed. It was just a terrible time. And one of the things I noticed is we probably didn't need to add more debt. We had a lot of debt, and bond debt. And so I investigated the not the project, but the debt from a debt, and so I was able to begin the first like rejection of that, and it was joined by people up and down Palo Alto area had a lot of fierce fighters. The central California section, we united to try to bring some ration and reason to that. It's still ongoing, but it's more of a it you know it's funded by our cap and trade revenues, which
Mhm.
California's not seeing a whole lot of return for that. Southern California.
Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton is in your district, and I noticed that you have a lot of military endorsements on your page. Can you talk about the importance of the military in this district?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. The military contracting is absolutely, absolutely important, and the budget that was just signed actually improved pay, salary increases for the military, and also upgraded. It will provide them the ability to upgrade equipment, bring them into the 21st century. 25% of San Diego's economy is based on military contracting, so that's absolutely huge to our district. Um, the other section of our district is biotech biomed. There's a huge component of that in the Carlsbad area and also down the coast, also in Orange County. So you've got these absolutely fabulous technology industries, and with the technology that's coming out of the military for security, for protecting our nation, as well as implementing, in neighborhoods. Eventually it will come out, and we've got the biotech and biomed, which are going to drive down the cost of health care because they're able to detect a lot quicker what's wrong with people and not put them through multiple testings. I mean, the genomics research that's being done. There's just it's amazing. You'll soon have an app, and you'll be able to have your records on your app, and be able to transfer them, be able to let doctors know what you're doing. And the border security issue, which is huge, uh, in order to and that will be between the federal government and the state. Right now, we've got our National Guard working with Border Patrol because we are a very heavy area for human trafficking, money laundering, and drug running. And right now, it's opioids, it's fentanyl, it's heroin that's coming across the border. So we can't get a handle on all of those issues, which we're trying to, until we have some security. And this district is just ground zero for multitude of industries that they're very, very helpful. Beautiful district.
One of the things, the other races in the state of California will likely be decided by independent voters. NPP voters just passed Republican registration. We are the Independent Voter Network. So a lot of our viewers, a lot of our listeners are of the independent mindset. And I wondered if you could address why you are a better candidate for independent voters than your competition.
Because I'll be able to hit the ground running. I mean, there's a lot of dysfunction right now in Washington D.C. We don't want to go into impeachment hearings and carryings on from D.C. We have a lot to deal with, and I've legislative, I've adjudicated, I've represented this district. My opponent has, he's born here, but he has not lived here. He's moved in just a few years, and I'd like to know how anybody can represent this district when you're 4,000 miles away. How can you learn what the district needs? You need to know the people, you need to know the constituents. That's a strong point I have, extremely strong. And the fact that I've actually worked across the aisle, I know what to do. I know how to count the votes. We need 219 votes out of the House and 60 out of the Senate to get anything done. This is not a time for impeachment proceedings and other chaos. DC needs to calm down, and I will be able to help with that. I'll be able to help on getting California a little better salt treatment, our state and local tax. We lost our property tax write-off. I think a lot of the reform bill was excellent, but in the areas along the coast, that may hurt some of my folks. So I'd like to see if we could get some of that back. I think that the $24,000 automatic deduction will be very helpful to many young families. But there are some that have higher income homes because this is a high income area because it's scarcity of property along the coast, and so we just pay more. The gas tax, I'm really an advocate for being sure that we're not overtaxed and being sure that Southern California gets their share of the taxes. We are the commuter area. This is a big commute area, and that gas tax will really hurt us. And I've been up for and on the front of trying to get rid of that gas tax. San Onofre is in this district, and there is a process underway to move the nuclear waste. We need to continue with the process. We can't afford to be worrying about chaos in D.C. We're going to need votes from both sides of the aisle to get that done, and we're going to need it from other states. So we have to have some cooperative effort. Healthcare, like I said, opioids, mental illness, all of those things are areas that I have some expertise in that I'm really, really excited to get involved in because they are the future of our kids, and they're also the future of the homeless problem and everything else. There's a lot of mental illness and the PTSD in the military. I've been involved in that. And I've already talked about the national security, and I will be working very, very hard to craft a good immigration bill. We had one. Unfortunately, it didn't pass. But because there's some that want everybody to go home, they're the tough boys. There's the other side that wants open borders. It's going to be somewhere in the middle, and we need to update it so that it's fair, so that we can take care of the DACA kids, so that we can have a system of laws rather than the constant battles we do. We need H-1B visas revised. People need to be able to get them where we have shortages. Our biggest problem is 3.5% unemployment, and we don't have the trained workforce. So there's a lot of things we can do on the immigration front that will fit that bill and also be sure that we've got an orderly process. I'm just really excited to be doing this. Like I said, anything that happens, we'll need 219 and 60. Those are the votes we need to get out, and I've worked across the aisle, been able to get some bills passed, and I'm very excited to be doing this.
Diane Harkey is the Republican candidate. She's running in the 49th district. She finished first she in the June primary with 25.52% of the vote. And she is our guest here on the IVN podcast. Diane, thank you for taking a couple of minutes, and good luck on November 6th.
Thank you. It's a very exciting election, a very exciting district, great people, great state, and thank you for having me.
This podcast is brought to you by IVN.us, an open news platform for independent-minded authors and readers. If you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to IVN.us where you listen to podcasts. On SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Acast, or iHeartRadio.